When we left for this trip, the weather was 47 degrees and we were bucking headwinds of 25 miles an hour. Nothing I was going to think in my mind is going to change that.
Hi, welcome to the Judy Torel Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize every body 50, 60, 70, and above.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Judy Torel Show. You are now in episode number 5 of my series number 5. And the topic that I'm doing for this series is, what skills have I recognized that I have refined and used in my experiences with participating in ultra distance sport events that I am now recognizing are serving me well as I am living in an aging body. And I want to relay those insights and skills to my clients and my podcast listening viewership, you, so that you also may have some extra tools in your toolbox as to how to live in your aging body without having to go through the rigor of the endurance events that I have. I would like you to learn from my experience. So part of why this topic even came to my mind is because I'm less than 24 hours out of just completing riding my bicycle from Albany, New York, on the map that's right here, all the way across the state to Buffalo. It was a 380-mile trek, and successfully completed, by the way. And, I have done events like this, long distance bike rides. But the last time I did one was 2 decades ago when I was in my late 30s. And I am now 59, knocking on the door of 60. And so that's when it dawned on me that, there's a lot of mental skills that you have to use to get yourself to complete these events when, you're in day 3 and you have 3 more days to go. And the adversity of the conditions is, really overwhelming, and the own physical state of challenge and adversity and pain and discomfort, it waxes and wanes as you're going through these, ultra endurance events. But at any time when it's waning, you're at risk of caving and not completing. And so, the mental skills that help you to get through those over and over again when you're doing like the 10 Ironmans that I've completed that can take anywhere from 8 hours to 17 hours, or the ultra distance running events that are 100 miles or more, 24 and 48 hour events. And you're on hour 12, you got 12 more hours to go, and every cell in your body is screaming at you to stop. So the mental skill that I want to talk about in this episode and relay to you that will be valuable to you as you are, living in the endurance sport of living in an aging body, is what I call the 50-50 rule. And basically what it means is that you show up for whatever's going on in your life at that moment. There's 100% of, what you show up. 50% of that you have 100% control over. The other 50% of whatever situation is presenting itself, either living in your own body or doing an ultra endurance event, the second 50% of the 100% is the part of what's going on that you have zero control over. In this country, we're kind of like taught, and there's like kind of a group mindset that, if you mind over matter and you're personally in control of your destiny, and, it's 100%, if you apply yourself, you can make anything happen. And I have learned from doing these ultra endurance events for 2+ decades that is not how it works. I don't care what kind of mindset and how much I'm going to say I have 100% control. When we left for this trip, the weather was 47 degrees and we were bucking headwinds of 25 miles an hour. Nothing I was going to think in my mind is going to change that. I had zero control over that circumstance. So 50% of the starting of this trip was the weather conditions, and I had zero control over it. The other 50% is, okay, if this is the weather conditions, how am I going to attack it? How am I going to address it? Am I going to delay it by a day? Am I going to go out anyway because we have limited time? Am I going to have an attitude like a crybaby the whole first day because it's not how I wanted it to be? Or am I going to change the way I'm going to view it? I have 100% control over that 50%. But the other 50% are forces way bigger and beyond me that I have to dance with. So on this trip, there were several times where I had a map and I had my GPS, and you're on there's an Erie Canal trail that goes from, they've just in the last 2 years joined these trails, but it's not just a straight trail. You have to, they kind of linked 20 trails together. And so you get to the end of one trail and there'd be, you had to get through roadways and follow some signs and try to get onto another one. And some of the paths are paved and some of them are single lane with grass on either side, like stone dust, they call it, in horrible conditions. Some of it is transitioning through a, urban center where you're on the roads with trucks going 65 miles an hour, coming to stop signs and then, not paying attention or putting your life at risk as you're on your bike trying to get back to the next part of the path and lost. So where I was going is that there were several times during this trip where, we came to these transitional places and the signs were no help. It wasn't clear from the GPS how to get to the path because the path isn't on the GPS, only roadways are. And literally there was like multiple times where there's like a moment of panic where, I was responsible for the navigation. My partner was not very good at that. She would blow through the signs and, we'd still be out there riding if she was a navigator. So I had to figure it out for us. And many times we came together. She was using the GPS, I was using the map. But what I'm bringing up is that, these were situations where 50% of what was going on, I had no control over. And I had to be with that, and learn how to let go of, I should have 100% control, or if I just mind over matter this, I'll figure this out or whatever. It was like, nope, these are the situations that, part of what's going on here, I have nothing, it's bigger forces. But the 50% that I have to apply, and that's where I want to, hone in on right here, is I had to show up 100% for that 50%. There were I wanted to just sit on the corner of the curb. I was exhausted. I was overheated. My body hurt. My knees were swelling. I had hot spots on certain areas. I had a 20-pound pack on my back. It was 100 degrees. And I was like, I can't figure this out. I wanted to cry. I wanted to just give up. I wanted to be rescued. There was no rescuing going to happen. Okay. So now using those examples of, I had to say, okay, take a breath. There's 50%. Okay. The situation, your partner can't figure this out. The signs were very misleading. All right. But you've got to go 100% now to your piece here and let's figure this out, Judy. Let's figure it out. That same 50-50 rule applies to my body at 59 years old in a very different way than it has ever in earlier years, in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm on the cusp of 60, and I work with clients that are in their 60s and 70s and 80s. And I know from my own experience now being 59 and also the experience of my clients, weight gain, that they feel like, I'm doing everything right. Like, and my belly's getting bigger, like my menopausal females. And, they want to just like be the victim. They're trying to figure it out, but like they're just at a loss, clients that have been cancer survivors, but they had gone through the treatments and then are dealing with a body that's foreign to them. It's like, so that's the 50% in those two examples that they have no control over that. But the other 50%, they do. It's like, all right, so I had cancer. It's now in remission. I'm living in a completely foreign body. What do I have to do right now? What can I do? What's my 50% that I can bring to this picture? I can't, take the cancer away. That's out of the realm of what I have, power over. That's the other 50%. I have to look, I have to accept that, kind of be with it. But how do I dance with it? What's my 50%? All right, so can I learn about, cancer prevention kind of foods right now? And that's what clients would come to me who are in this state. I practice food as medicine. And so I'm teaching them some of the foods that might aid them in avoiding a recurrence. That's 50% that they do have control over. And the mental, kind of approach that you take to it, you can choose to be kind of perseverating on the hardship and the unfairness about how it happened to you and not somebody else, or, you did everything right and yet look what happened. I mean, your mind can take you down very dark corridors. But that's not going to help you. Like, what you have to do in that situation, anything where your body's not the way you want it in the moment, you have to kind of adjust, and you have to say, okay, genetics, 50%, I have no control over that. But behavioral medicine now at 62 years old, and what can I teach myself or seek out and learn from other people to help me to manage my severe osteoarthritis, or, the skin change. This is one of mine. I look in the mirror every day now and I'm like, Jesus, what happened? Like, I eat right. I've done everything except for sleep. I'm terrible about sleep. But, my point being, there's changes to my skin texture that makes me want to crawl back in bed and not come out and present myself to the public, because what my face looks like to me in a mirror looks very different than what it looked like to me when I was 25. 50% of that I have no control over. The collagen elastin mix in my skin, that's partly the genetic piece. But I am constantly researching what are some of the peptide creams that I might be able to put on. Am I hydrating in a way that's going to keep the skin fully hydrated, which is now going to, the more dehydrated I notice, for my endurance events and my trainings and sweating all the time, when I'm less hydrated, my skin lines show out so much more. So I'm staying, focused in on what's the 50% that I do have control over, and how can I, show up 100% in that realm and do the best I can to manage my aging body. So, I learned that at a younger age doing endurance sport. I'm applying it now in my everyday life as I manage my aging body. And I'm sharing it with you so that you can, listen to what I'm saying, reflect on it for yourself, and maybe have this mindset tool, 50-50 rule. 50% of everything that's going on in your body right now, you have zero control over. And the other 50%, you have 100% control over. And so put your attention in that 50% and be, and show up for it. All right. So this is my 5th mental skill in the series of 6. There's one more to go. You don't want to miss that one. I promise you don't want to miss that one. So thank you for listening as always and watching. I appreciate your viewership. I love the feedback I get, and you and I are on the same path. My path that I'm, sharing with you is, let's make the second 50 years of our life even better than our first 50. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening, everybody. And if you'd like to have access to some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judytorel.com.